Hello and welcome to the fourth video of the endocrine system. I think I'm counting correctly. All right, so we've reached the adrenal glands. These adrenal glands kind of they sit like these little pyramid-shaped things on top of your kidneys here, you can see. You got two of them because you got two kidneys. They have kind of two glands in one. There's a cortex, which is the outer region, and the medulla, which is kind of like the caramel center. Not really, it's not caramel. But in any case, let's cover the adrenal cortex first. There are three different layers in the adrenal cortex, and they call them zones, or Latin zona. So the most outermost one is the zona glomerulosa. Middle one is zona fasciculata, and the inner one is the zona reticularis. So if you can remember just GFR, there's a statistic in when we get to the urinary system called the glomerular filtration rate, but they don't really match up. But GFR, outside in, that's just a sort of a cue there if you want to use it. Okay, they produce more than one hormone, but we're just going to stress one hormone for each of these. So the zona glomerulosa produces generally a class of hormones called mineralocorticoids. So an example of them is of a mineralocorticoid is aldosterone. And aldosterone we'll get into more detail when we get to the urinary system, but for now let's just give you sort of a summary of its effects. Aldosterone targets the kidney tubules, and it lets you keep more water. So you suck more sodium back in from your urine, or the thing that's going to become urine. And as you may have heard before, water follows salt. So if you're pulling salt back into your body, you're going to pull water back into your body. So aldosterone works kind of like antidiuretic hormone in that it reduces water loss. It also helps you keep up your blood pressure. So you'll produce aldosterone if you're bleeding. So if your blood pressure drops because of hemorrhage, you'll release aldosterone to try to reduce your urine output and thus increase your blood pressure. All right, so next one, the zona fasciculata, which is in the middle, produces a class of hormones called glucocorticoids. And our example here is cortisol. And there's others, cortisone and some others, but we'll just go with cortisol for now. Targets lots of things. And here's a nice big word for you, gluconeogenesis. And I don't know if I mentioned that before, but gluco, sugar, neo, new, genesis, making. So make new sugar. Cortisol is released when you're under stress, not like stress like I got to get this job done, but like physiological stress. I guess they can be related. And you'll try to keep as much blood sugar as you can so that your brain, which is going to have to think your way out of this stressful situation, has plenty of fuel to run on. A few other things over here you see, lipid mobilization or lipolysis. So you're going to start breaking down lipids. When you break them down, you're going to turn them into sugar. Cortisol kind of elevates blood pressure as well, and it lets you function. See how it says reduction of stressors like the inflammatory response? So it lets you function when you're under physical or physiological stress. Helps you function, I should say. So the last one, zona reticularis, is the inner layer. The class of hormones is called gonadocorticoids, and gonado, right? So gonads, they act as weak sex hormones, primarily androgens, but then estrogens. If say you are a postmenopausal female, you will be able to derive some estrogen from the gonadocorticoids that your zona reticularis produces. Now we go to the medulla, short and sweet here. Epinephrine and norepinephrine. You may have heard of these as adrenaline and noradrenaline. We'll just go with their medical names, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Lots of things are targeted by epinephrine and norepinephrine, right? So if you let's just picture you've just gotten the crap scared out of you, right? Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your respiratory rate goes up, your pupils dilate, you don't feel hungry, right? Lots of things happen that will let you, fight the bear or whatever. So here is hopefully here it is. Here is a little image figure showing you the inside of the kidney. Sorry, I've been clicking buttons and it's getting crazy. So capsules on the outside, that's fibrous and it's pretty tough. It's dense irregular connective tissue. You should know that for lab. Then you've got the three zonas of the cortex, and finally down here in the middle, the medulla. Next, we have kind of a figure here that shows the chain of events that occurs when you do something scary does happen to you, right? So in this case, my man here looks like he maybe started a fire somewhere that he wasn't supposed to, and now he's getting out of Dodge. But so we'll look at this little graph up here. He's stressed out, right? So that's going to signal your central nervous system, which is going to directly signal not only your adrenal gland, but lots of other things. So that instantaneous engagement of your cardiovascular, respiratory systems, it occurs. The epinephrine and norepinephrine produced here are kind of like a bonus and longer lasting effect. So you can see that it has mentioned cardiovascular, respiratory, and metabolic, but doesn't mention the fact that the same things, that same hormone, those same hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine, switch on those systems, but kind of switch off your digestive system and your urinary system and your reproductive system. If you're, fighting a bear or running from your misdeeds, like this guy, you're not thinking about a sandwich. And there we go. There we have the adrenal glands